Hi guys. So today I'm gonna be going over some strats and basic concepts of how Subzero, DE Subzero by FM Pone. Like just sort of go over some basics, some good strats that I think are beneficial to the map. How you should really be playing it right, especially with like knowing timings and good positioning and stuff like that. Okay, so I think I want to start off with this cool trick that I've learned out. Um, at the time of this recording, FM Pone had recently released the double door connector instead of, and he changed the vents. So basically, now you can sort of go through here, right? Now, it used to be that if you went through vents, you could literally just jump right through, and there would be like an entrance right here, which would lead right through this connector, right? It would give you sort of very easy access of alt mid control, right? And so it's sort of a little bit harder now, but I sort of figured out a strat to counteract that. So you can have sort of like a smoke right here that will block the entrance, right? Although it will be a bit hard because they will hear you jump. If you're maybe like, let's say you never deployed a smoke or something, they hear the jump, right? And then you gotta throw the smoke, right? People are gonna be suspicious and start calling it out. But I figured out two good positions that you should be able to get a good lineup on smokes and stuff like that. So here's one at T-spawn where if you sort of line up right at this corner, and then you have to sort of line up right here. It has to be right here. It cannot be sort of past the angle, like the point of the star, because it has. So the deal is that it's gonna have to hit this lamp post over here, and it's gonna bounce off and hit the entrance right here of connector. So let's see if we can try to get that one down. It has to be, so remember, it has to be all the way up here, and then I would land up right about there or so. I think it should land a little bit off, or quite a bit off. Quite off here. We'll probably just hold in. We'll get there. Okay, I think that should be the lineup. So bounce, hit the lamppost, and there we go. And so the smoke should land right about there, blocking off entire visual entrance of the connector right here, because it's fully blocked now. And so you can a lot of people obviously hear you sort of jump down, right? But by the time the smoke is popped, right? So let's try to see if we can get it again. But so we're just gonna pretend that it's gonna hit no matter what, right? And then you head up the ladder, and then the smoke would have been here if I threw it correctly. However, I did sort of find a lot more quicker and more reliable one. So if you line up right at this entrance, right, if you notice that on the metal grating over here, you can go in between this sort of like line of the grater, line up your smoke right here, stand up, and then you see this antenna right here, right? You want to line it up with what I believe is going to be the North Star, right? Because it's very blue and it's very bright. You throw it, and since the skybox is sort of very limited, your smoke is going to bounce off right easily, and then it's a very quick one. And by the time you're out, the smoke is popped, and you have control of alt mid. Now, the reason that this is beneficial is because if you get a lot of decent mid control, right, you can rotate either. You can go for the flanks, especially, right? So a lot of these rotates, right, CTs have decent or have advantages to the connectors. So let's say for B connector, right, if you go through here, CTs are going to be over here in monitor, or over here by ladder, I guess. And if you are over here, and if you're pushing A connector, right, CTs can be like on this, I think, heaven or snipers, and or just like simply like right in between. Which I'll cover this over a little bit in rotation wise, but these are two crucial parts of the map, right? So if you control both areas, you have a lot of access to map control, right? People will know that you're sort of out down here, right? But now that you've sort of you could have some people push up with you in mid, and then clear out mid, and then try to take a site based off of how many players are left, right? Because you should try to be playing for picks usually. I guess I'll show off. I'll talk about B first. Now I guess I'll show off a cool smoke I found. So if you line up like right here or so, or maybe like this corner, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I think that should be it. There we go. It's a little bit deep, but you could have a bit of a better one. Smoke off right in B entrance, and you could sort of take control monitor. Now, there are multiple positions you gotta be careful of when trying to execute to. So yeah, you can have a smoke, but there are generally two angles you want to be careful of when trying to execute towards B site, and I guess it would mainly be sort of towards fence over here, right? Like this area right over here. And then another area would definitely be behind crate over here, because crate is very much like a big, not really a headshot angle, but you can sort of get a little bit of a head glitch over here, but it doesn't really help you. These are the two main areas because a lot of people like to hide in these corners, and they get a lot of unsuspecting T players, or if you're retaking CTs. So, I guess, yeah. Some basic nades would be like, throw a Molotov back here. You can throw the entire backside, and by doing so, you can they either push out towards left side, right, giving a wider peak for T's or CTs to wait for get a kill, right, or peek over here, but you're gonna have to sort of counter strafe over to get that kill, if so. But yeah, general areas you want to smoke off. For executions, monitor is always a #1 priority. That's the thing. Having a smoke right here, right, covers is basically the generic CT area. The rest is based off of your executions, really. But another, I guess, general area should definitely be like if you're going over here by sled or snowmobile, right, and you gotta push out, right. You technically smoked off two angles. Assuming your smoke doesn't go in deep, you gotta watch out for CT area over here. But you could either push out a B main over here, right? Or I guess hut, whatever it is. I just consider it B main. Or you could push out through entrance over here, right? So you could, which I think is a lot more better for people, right? If you sort of push out here, get your smoke right here. Maybe your Molotov down because they can be behind you. Visual in general or something. And then you also have your clear out the slide, right? Maybe right here, possibly, if you're retaking your snowmobile, but you know that's your issue if so. But generally, that's how you want to sort of clear out sight. Also, since we're gonna be heading to the topic of A now, if you are in a connector, you can bounce your Molotovs off and sort of hit generic planters for retakers, especially. This is a good one for retaking. So, like, let's say you want to line it up right here. Okay, it's got to be a lot like higher. So you can sort of land a Molotov right here, but the best spot I think you would want to do it. So if the Molotov hit far, and then it landed on top of the tanker right here. Because this is always an inferior, like, a spot to plant bomb, right? So it hits everything right above over here, right? And you cannot plant on top of the tank. Yeah, but if you're on top, right, you're gonna be lit. However, same thing if you were on A, right? You could like a good Molotov. It's gotta be lit. Yeah, like that. Yes, so you can block off entrance basically. good one. But so for retake for hold. Okay, so if you, I guess if you're gonna hold positions, right? Catwalk is always a good area to hold, right? It's you sort of get a height advantage, right? A lot of people like to peek at head level. So usually a height difference is always like beneficial in a fight. So it will always sort of get an an advantage on your enemy. So with that in mind, you would want to really hold here, not try to push too far, right? You can if you want to, but there's always the chance of double boost, or like not double boost, single boost pit, right? But definitely if you hold back up here, it's definitely a good spot. Now, vents control is always pretty good, right? Now that sort of changed, it's a lot more easier. So I guess more so B connect or A connector control is, you definitely need it for your map or for the map, and a main control as well. And so if you're to take the site, you definitely want to maybe you could smoke like in between right over here or something, right? As long as you generally block off this window area, which is a key area for like generic oppers who like to hold this angle, right? They just sort of like to hold this, and you can just, if you smoke that off, that's definitely helpful. Another area would be like right here towards CTA main. Except a lot of people sort of like to play outwards of this because you don't really get too much visual because of the tank. So maybe something like right here, because I like to play around this angle too. So you gotta watch out for that one. So assuming you have both these nades out, right, you could smoke up and just take some, you have the entire frontal area of sight ready for your at disposal. And then they're all, people can play at the corners, of course. I've experienced this a lot, which you sort of gotta be careful of, right? It's more so just like game sense, right? You just gotta peek it properly. So I don't have much to say about picking, although for CT side there are some good strats where if you coordinate your right pushes, you can get the betterment. You can get the better of the enemy. So for instance, you can call for your teammate to throw a smoke in deep, or you can throw a smoke in yourself, right? Head with your teammate down pit. And so once you're down in pit, you can boost your teammate up, and with this frontal smoke, right, it sort of covers up pit, right? But they won't really know, or the terrorists won't really know that you're sort of pushed up, unless they've pushed up like super far as well, and like for some reason they're already past the smoke somehow, right? That's the only way, but you should still be prepared no matter what. But if we get this, you have a good advantage because it sort of keeps enemies off guard, right? People like to hide behind the pillars, but pit, if you always have a boosted pit player, it's always sort of interesting to play against or play with. Because the thing is, right? Also, I believe if you just rush aim I've experienced this by accidentally queuing against some like silvers or whatever. But if you just push A main, you should already have like an advantage on the like right as like people start pushing out of like sort of towards T spawn mid or T mid. They're already CTs are already out on A. So this brings us to another general topic about the map. Timings, and this is also gonna like transition into the mid talk as well. So because so CTs, by the time they push, they sort of get around this area if they're fast enough, right? They can sort of push up to this, get a lot of map control just by looking, right, and getting the kills. The same thing would go over for this side, right? B is infamous for rushing, right? So just throw like a flash over, bam, and then you have generally this control, or people are already starting to push out. So you have up to here for like T's definitely, and you also have like around up to here for CTs as well, like CTs as well. The quickest route technically for the map is in fact middle for T's. It's infamous as well, knowing that because there's a double mid section, right, CTs simply push out like, oh, I want to go snipers or whatever. And so they're gonna boost up here, right? And they're gonna jump and then jump down and jump out. T's are already pushed up like right about here, right by this like double blue box. And if they, let's say, push ladder, right, which is just understandable option, right? T's are probably up by this box by now as well, because the ladder takes up time, and also you gotta sort of walk around as well. So knowing this, right, understanding these timings, right, knowing that this side will be faster, you want to get a smoke that's sort of going off like right about. So you get those smokes by the way. You throw like a simple smoke or something, block off that entrance, right, and then get this as long as you have like a smoke down towards A connector. If you're trying to take control, you can smoke off this side, put all your focus on the B side, right? Wait for the push, or like, you know, start pushing up yourself, because no matter what, the A connector guy is always going to be the fastest person to push out mid. So knowing that you have to play smart and you have to play strategic. Usually double crossfires are always understandable for CTs to hold on mid, so you can have one like sniper's nest holding like this general angle, and another one right about here, a little bit pushed up, right, because they don't have as much visual. But no, just some pretty cool stuff. And I think, yeah, that's basically about it. I hope you learned something, I guess, from this. It's nothing too much really, but I just thought it was pretty cool. I enjoyed this map. I enjoy FM Pone as a map creator. He's even checked out my map. But he's a really cool guy. I love his maps. Subzero, I enjoy it a lot. I actually hope it sort of gets into the competitive scene. I think it's gonna be interesting. So. But you know, anyways, I'm out, and thanks for watching.